In this video, we'll be discussing how to use the Sources tab to write longer pieces of code and better debug our code. To get started, let's navigate to About:blank and start with a blank page. Now let's open up the Chrome console using Command-Option-J, or on a PC, Control-Shift-J. But instead of the Console tab, let's move to the Sources tab. Inside of here, let's focus on the tab on the left and expand this a little bit so that we can see the Snippets tab, and let's click on that. Now inside of this tab, let's right-click and click on New. We can now make a new snippet. Let's call this one First Snippet. Inside here, I'll make a variable called Instructor and set it equal to Ellie. We can already see that there's syntax highlighting, which is really nice. On the left-hand side, we can see that there's an asterisk by the name of my snippet. That means it hasn't been saved. So I'll press Command-S or Control-S on Windows to save the snippet. What's great about this is if I close the browser and open it up again, my snippet is still there. Now let's write a bit more code. I'll write a short if statement to see if the instructor variable is the same value and type as the string Ellie. As I type, there's also some nice indentation provided for me, so this is a great environment to write larger code snippets. Inside of the if statement, I'll console.log yes. So how do I run this code? I can head over to the play button and click on it, or press the keyboard shortcut that's highlighted. On a Mac, that's Command-Enter. When I press Command-Enter, a console pops up and my output is there. Great. If I want to hide or show this console, I can press Escape. Now that we made some snippets, let's start using some more advanced debugging tools. I'll make a function called information, and inside I'll declare a few variables, first, second, and third, and set them equal to the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Now we see on the left there are line numbers. If I click on one of these line numbers, I can set a breakpoint, which will pause execution of my code. This is very useful for examining variables and their values, especially inside of functions. So I'll set a breakpoint on line 9 and then run the function. We can now see that I'm paused in the debugger, and if I try to look at the value of second, it will return undefined because a value has not been assigned to the second variable. If I want to move to the next breakpoint, I can click the arrow at the top and that will move me to the next one, or I can press Command / on a Mac. To clear breakpoints, I can click on the same line number again, and we'll see the blue background removed. Sometimes it's more challenging to use line numbers when debugging. Thankfully, there's a keyword debugger we can use to help us out. Whenever the keyword debugger is inside of your JavaScript files or snippets and your Chrome DevTools are open, the code will pause at that point. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to make a loop and initialize a counter variable called I. I'll loop as long as I is less than 5 and increment I by 1 after each iteration. Inside of this loop, I'm going to write a condition that checks to see if the remainder of I divided by 2 is 0. If it is, I'll console.log I is even. But before the if statement, let's add the debugger keyword and see what happens when we run this code. I'll press Command-Enter since I'm on a Mac, or we can click the play arrow on the right-hand side. Inside the loop, I can see what the value of I is and then move to the next breakpoint, which will increment I by 1. As I go through this loop, I can see what the value of I is, as well as what the expression evaluates to in the if statement. Since we do not have access to variables defined inside of functions outside of the function, we sometimes try to debug by placing console.log statements all over our code. This is fine for a little debugging, but as you build larger applications, you need a better tool for debugging, and that's where the Sources tab can help. Now there's much more we can do with the Sources tab. This is just a start. But play around and try to use breakpoints and the debugger keyword to better solve your problems when writing JavaScript. The Sources tab takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's an incredibly powerful tool used by professionals daily, so it's quite valuable to learn. Good luck. See you in the next video.